It's all about state of origin at the moment.
Yep.
What do you think about the respective sides? Firstly, your Queensland side.
Well, I think from both teams, I think sort of injuries have played a part. Both Laurie and Billy would have had a plan, and then a few injuries late sort of changed those. I think there's definitely a different style of play. I think the Moses, Cleary, Yo combination is something that is repetition, trust. So there's a lot of combo work in that, and that will move the football around a little bit more.
Yep.
For the Maroons and that sort of Storm combination of Munster and put Harry Grant in that, throw Kalen in the back. I think Billy's game plan will be long game and one of their best players to come up with a play, if that makes sense.
Yep.
I don't think there's a lot of combination work compared to the New South Wales side, but I think both have strengths and weaknesses. What do you reckon?
Good-looking pack, Queensland pack.
Yeah.
No for the Waker, Tino, Ruben Cotter. I love Cotter as a player. Yeah. Jeremiah Nanai's in good form, and Carrigan's got that mouth injury, but he's going to be okay. Yeah, that's a strong pack with Harry Grant through the middle. It's funny, look at the nature of the Queensland backline. It's very much attack-based. And when you look at New South Wales, which we'll get to in a second, it's more, I look at our wingers and our fullback. It's very much yardage-based.
Yeah.
But look, Queensland, look, Munster there, Hammer, the bench, Dearden, Lindsay Collins, both for more, gets to start. Well done, Trent Liero, but the big one is Robert Toya. Wow.
Yeah, was it 10 games into his career, he's playing Origin. That normally doesn't happen for some of the best players that ever played the game, really.
Well, as you know, if Billy picks him, you know he's ready.
The kid can play.
He's thorough, yes.
Billy's watched more football than you and I, right? But we sit there and have seen glimpses of what Robert Toya can do. And there's no doubt that he has got big stage written all over that sort of right foot, that fend. He's got a flick pass in him. But I tell you what, he's going to have one of his best defensive performances in his lifetime, because he will be coming up against Latrell Mitchell. That's the disadvantage for me if I'm sitting in Queensland. You've got Hammer and Rob Toya up against Stephen Crichton and Latrell Mitchell.
Yes. Yeah.
That's a mismatch if you just put on paper.
Yeah, on paper.
One-on-one.
And I said before about Latrell and Stephen Crichton. I growing up watching Origin through the 80s, it does remind me, as far as physical presence and intimidation, G Miles and Mal Meninga.
Yeah.
It's got that. That big.
If you've got Stephen and Latrell and your Moses and Cleary, what's your style of play?
Okay, well, let's talk about that, right? So I look at the New South Wales side, and it's a great yardage side. Dylan Edwards, Brian Toto, Zach Lomax. They will dominate yardage. They'll alleviate a lot of pressure off the forwards. And if New South Wales can win yardage, that means that we will consistently put Nathan Cleary in a position for attacking kicks. Yeah. And as you know, if you've got Nathan consistently getting down there and being able to put in attacking kicks, then he's going to start nailing them. They're going to start. He's going to produce tries. Yeah. So if we're talking about the style of football we'll play, I think simplicity. I think simplicity, very direct, get upfield. I don't want to, and I've said this before, to start the game, I really want to see Nathan and Mitchell Moses running the football early. Get their compass right. Don't want to see the ball just push sideways. I think that will go away from our strengths. The strength of this New South Wales side with those back threes is going to be playing nice and direct.
But I think New South Wales have got more combination work with the ability to move the football.
Yeah.
When Isaiah Yeo goes there, his ability to know when to pull the trigger and pass to Nathan is better than anyone else in the game. So he'll understand when to run and when to pass. I just feel like with those centres that you have, they need to get the ball at some stage, right? Yep. So you're going to shift the ball, promote it to give them the opportunity to do one-on-one.
It's funny, like you said about moving the football there. I think New South Wales have got to be They've got to be selective when they shift the ball. What I don't want to see is a little bit of a shift there, a little bit of shift there. Yeah. Go back to the middle, a little bit of shift. What you're looking for, if we're going to move the football, play nice and direct, get the ball to an edge and then open the field up. And that's where you got the ability for Latrell and Stephen Crichton to move and start to swing together on one side of the field.
Yeah, and then for Queensland to win, I think their style of play is going to be, like I said earlier, a little bit more long game-ish than New South Wales. If their forward pack can be dominant for longer periods, keep the scoreline close. I think Munster, I think Kalen Ponga, and I think Harry Grant have individual brilliance in them. So it's more like a team game to get to the 75th minute and then one of the best players strike. If I'm Queensland, I'm worried about Latrell and Stephen Crichton. Who's New South Wales worried about for Queensland?
Oh, look, it's Munster.
Munster.
And because we've said this before, when you talk about the greatest Origin players of all time, we always look to the past with rose-coloured glasses. We glorify the past a lot of times, but when you talk about the greatest Origin players of all time, mate, he's got to be in the conversation. Things he has done for Queensland. When they've needed him in big games, in big moments, he just always stands up. You talk about that Origin debut where he got man of the match, and you blokes tell me that his last training session going into that game was probably the worst training session you've ever seen. Everyone was going, "Oh no, how are we going to shuffle this bloke out of the team?"
He came up to me and said, "Mate, what do? I just train so bad." I said, "Mate, just keep doing what you're doing. You'll be right."
oh, mate. But it was.
But that mindset, is what makes him great. And I feel like if he can rub off on Kalen Ponga, who's coming from Newcastle, he's in a run himself at Clubland.
Yeah.
But what Kalen has done for Queensland over his course, there's flashes of brilliance.
Yeah.
I tell you what, if Billy can just get Kalen in a really good spot, I just think that combination of Munster and Kalen Ponga together, particularly on both their favoured left-hand side, could be the thing for Queensland.
Just on Munster, he was on the show last night. He's a character, there's no doubt about it. But mate, he's a class act, and particularly the way he has. A lot's been made, but I don't want to go on about more. But how he's turned his life around. Sitting there last night, kicking the booze and stopping that. I mean, that's hard to do. Because a lot of it is culture. We get there in rugby league. I said it last night. You have a win, you want to have a beer. You have a loss, you want to have a beer. You always find a reason to have a beer together. And for Munster to actually kick that and turn his life around, it's a lot more difficult than it seems. Yeah. So he's incredible how fit he looks. Yeah. 89 kilos.
The great players always find something to improve in. Yeah. Now, you and I sit here and say, there's not a lot he can improve on the football field, right? But I'll tell you what, there's a fair chunk he could improve off the field to help that. And there's no doubt that anyone that's sort of, I know we take the mickey, but anyone that's sort of gone off the drink or applied themselves more, the proof is in the performance. It shows up at some stage.
And it shows the attitude, doesn't it? It shows attitude. Key combination for New South Wales is Nathan Cleary, Mitchell Moses.
Yep.
And on paper and in theory, this is a brilliant combination. But as we said before, Mitchell's in the six, and there's no doubt Mitchell probably will have to play a slightly different role than he does at Parramatta.
Yep. I think, yes, I agree, and there'll be a sort of let one go, the other one stands up and takes. But I really like how Laurie Daly explained that decision. The kicking game in Origin is crucial, and Mitchell Moses is the best kicker from 50 metres plus. He'll turn an average set into a great set, and if he can control the long game kicking, and as it gets closer to the try line, Nathan controls a little bit more. I think that's the yin and the yang that work for New South Wales. And ultimately, if you want New South Wales to win, those two will find the best rhythm. Yeah. But I think that's where it sits.
And it's a great combination, Coop, because, they're big game experience, particularly Nathan. But Mitchell's got a lot of big game experience as well, and he's got that. And Mitchell's got plenty of healthy arrogance. So going up to Suncorp Stadium is not going to worry either of them. Because as you know, Coops, and I say this fair bit to young playmakers, when you're going into really big games, it's really important going into big games when you're in the halves, amongst all the chaos that's going on. You've got to keep your head. You've got to control your adrenaline. Yeah. I always find, and it's tempted when you get into those really big games and the adrenaline starts pouring through you, and the first thing you start to do is zinging the ball around sideline to sideline a little bit. Where these two blokes know what it takes to win big games, very level-headed, very good at pushing sides around the park. Yep. It's a great combination.
If you're Billy, what are you doing with Tom Dearden? What's your plan? Because he is more than just a player that sits there as insurance, isn't he?
Well, you're not going to replace Munster or DCE,
no, you're not. No.
So it's an interesting one, Coop. So what are you doing? Is he there just to relieve Harry Grant?
I think Harry Grant stays out there too. The thing for me is I think Billy needs to time the injection of Tom Dearden. Patrick Carrigan is a beast. He will play 80 minutes, but to him be full throttle and lead that pack will be hard for him to do. So it's almost like, get Carrigan off after 30 minutes. Put Dearden on at lock. Right. If the game is in your favour, if there's a swing of possession coming Queensland's way, get him on the field, get him to strike, and then after 5 minutes in the second half, if it feels like it's gone the other way, get Carrigan back out there for a period of time. Yeah. Then he might be able to strike with 15 to go again. But he is too valuable because the greatest strength of Tom Dearden is the show and go.
Yeah.
Once there's fatigue in the game of Origin, I don't care who you are, the fuel tank is empty, and if he's in front of you, that speed and footwork and the sharpness at which he comes at you at, I think that could be a play. But Billy needs to time that card perfectly because if it's defending all the time, he's just going to be caught in the washing machine of it all.
Talking about the Cooper, he's perfectly suited to that 13 role, isn't he? He's got all the attributes. He's quick. He's got good, got good first step quickness. Mate, he's got the show and go, a little bit of skill. He's got good footwork, but crucially, he's tough.
And that's why I say he'll make his tackles, but the timing of when Queensland, if Billy can predict the possession count going in their favour for a 10-minute period, that's when you get him on the field.
Anyone? No Corey Horsburgh? That surprises me.
The Lindsay Collins back in after one game. Maybe he could have played there, but Lindsay's done it. Lindsay's the type of guy that you give him that colour, that jersey that you're wearing right now.
Oh no, it's
and
faux pas.
He puts the Superman cape on, right? So I think that's the one. But I don't mind Fermor and Liero. There's a little bit of enthusiasm there, and the way that Billy has coached the likes of Reece Walsh, particularly Rob Toyer. He put Hammer in the centres when everyone was a bit like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like he backs youth. Because he sees a lot of energy in them.
Just look at the New South Wales side, as I've said before. If I was Laurie, I'd be sitting there in the last 2 weeks going, okay, where can I get Paps in there somewhere?
What do you reckon about Max King?
It's an interesting one. Well done to Maxi. He's been obviously club form.
Because you think about that pack, and it's got Kurt Mann and Hayward play there a little bit. Like they're a smallish pack compared. But his performance up against the Roosters was very good.
Yeah.
He got smashed early on, but then he was the biggest body in the middle that turned the tide for the Dogs. And it just goes to show that there's some other players that were spoken more about.
Yep.
Terrell May was in there, Stefano Utoikamano, but Max King. How can I say this comparatively to those guys? Max King probably does the 1%ers. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
If someone needs to tackle himself for a standstill for 15, 20 minutes, I think that's why Laurie would have gone with Max King.
Yeah, well done, Max, and to the family too. He's about 4 generations of footballers. His dad was a good footballer. He played for the Gold Coast Seagulls. His grandfather Johnny is a legend. Johnny won a mile of premierships with those incredible St George teams. And then went and coached Western Division. Well, they call it the last fairy, the last great fairy tale. Where Western Division were put into the midweek cup, the Panasonic Cup or the Amco Cup, and won the whole thing. So they'd be very, very proud.